WCEG Network. We are the worldwide empowerment group where we speak life into the community and we speak life into you. Log onto WCEG.WCEGTalkRadio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV, on the Roku, cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Cassandra Wanzo. I'm your host of Mind Matters for the next hour. Subscribe free to our YouTube channel, WCEG Network. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. Connect with us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Threads. Download our free WCEG mobile apps. Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Listen to WCEG on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. Last but not least, our disclaimer. The topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. Good evening again and welcome to Mind Matters, where we discuss relevant mental health issues. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Wanzo. I'm a psychiatrist, and I have been practicing in Atlanta for the past 30 years. I started when I was 5. I also want to send healing prayers to our co-host, Miss Chevette Aturis, who's recuperating from surgery. We miss you, Chevette. Welcome to our final show of the season. We want to acknowledge that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, with the goal of recognizing the importance of mental health and challenging us to turn understanding into meaningful steps towards change. Our topic this evening is how to deal with toxic people. Again, how to deal with toxic people. Our life's journey brings us face to face with a myriad of personalities. While some enrich our lives, others may drain our energy and leave us feeling emotionally depleted. These are emotional vampires. What is a toxic person? A toxic person is anyone whose behavior upsets you and adds negativity to your life. Let me repeat that. A toxic person is anyone whose behavior upsets you and adds negativity to your life. It may be their personality. Many times, people who are toxic become that way because of their upbringing, life experiences, or childhood wounds. They don't know healthy ways to deal with their own stress, so they behave in ways that cause harm to other people. Is toxicity a mental or psychiatric disorder? Toxicity in people is not considered a mental disorder, but there could be underlying psychiatric problems that cause someone to act in a toxic ways, including a personality disorder, which is a psychiatric diagnosis. These disorders include narcissistic, borderline, histrionic, and antisocial personality disorders. They also can include bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. Toxic people are everywhere. They could be a coworker, a spouse, a neighbor, a boss, or a parent. I'm sure if you look through your contact list, you will find a few. You can't change them. They're set in their toxic ways like concrete. What you can do is change how you deal with them. Again, you can't change them. They're set in their toxic ways like concrete. What you can do is change how you deal with them. Their actions reflect their inner turmoil, and they are not a reflection on your worth. It's what's going on with them. For the purposes of this discussion, I won't be going into the DSM-5 diagnostic criteria for each personality or disorder, because each has a diagnosis, has a specific set of criteria that have to be present for each diagnosis. And for me to do that would take many hours to do that. But toxic people can have some of these traits, but not necessarily all of them, or they can have all of them, such as in a narcissistic personality disorder or antisocial personality disorder. One of the diagnoses that tends to be overused and misused in our society is narcissistic. Again, DSM has specific traits that they have to meet all of those to be diagnosed as a narcissistic personality, but they can have narcissistic traits and be toxic. People with some of the narcissistic traits can be the most emotionally and at times physically abusive people. I am going to go through some of the signs that they exhibit. I'm going to show how it can impact your mental health and mental well-being. And then I'm going to provide some coping strategies to navigate through these challenging relationships, because they can be very challenging and take a toll on you. One sign is constant criticism. Constant criticism. Toxic individuals seem to have a radar for imperfections, spotting faults in every aspect of your life, whether it's your work, your appearance, or personal choices. They never miss a chance to point out what they perceive as flaws. This incessant criticism can act like a slow poison, gradually eroding your self-esteem, leaving you feeling inadequate and insecure. Over time, you may find yourself second-guessing your abilities and questioning your worth, trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and negativity. Recognizing these behaviors is crucial in learning how to protect your mental and emotional well-being. So constant criticism. Another sign that toxic people exhibit is manipulative behavior. Manipulative behavior. Have you ever found yourself agreeing to things that you don't want to do because of subtle pressure or guilt tripping from someone else. Manipulative individuals are masters of playing mind games to get their way. They know just how to push your buttons and manipulate your emotions, leaving you feeling confused, powerless, and even questioning your judgment. Their tactics can range from subtle manipulation to outright coercion, making it difficult to assert your own needs and boundaries. These behaviors underline the importance of protecting your mental and emotional well-being. As I go through some of these, I think of a certain individual that's involved in a trial that exhibits many of these characteristics. The next is lack of empathy. Lack of empathy is another sign of a toxic person. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, being able to put yourself in their place. This is a crucial component of healthy relationships. However, toxic individuals often lack this essential trait. They dismiss your emotions. They minimize your experiences. They show little regard for your feelings and perspective. Instead of offering support and understanding, they may invalidate your emotions or even blame you for how they feel or how you feel. This lack of empathy can leave you feeling unheard, misunderstood, and emotionally isolated, further exacerbating feelings of loneliness and despair. Another sign of a toxic person: drama and conflict, drama queens and kings. Toxic individuals seem to thrive on drama and chaos, leaving a trail of conflict and turmoil everywhere they go. They may gossip, spread rumors, or instigate unnecessary drama to keep things interesting. Being constantly embroiled in their whirlwind of negativity can be exhausting mentally and emotionally. The constant stress and tension can take a toll on your mental health, leaving you feeling drained, anxious, and overwhelmed. It's like being caught in a never-ending storm with no respite in sight. This next one, control freak. They, in fact, used this today when they were talking about the trial of this certain person that's on trial now in New York. Control freak. Ever felt like you were walking on eggshells around someone, afraid to express yourself freely or make decisions without their approval? Toxic individuals have an insatiable need to control every aspect of their lives and yours, from your thoughts, actions, to your relationship and goals. They may use manipulation, coercion, or even threats to enforce their control, leaving you feeling suffocated and powerless. Their overbearing behavior can erode your sense of independence and self-worth, leaving you trapped in a prison of their making. I think Miss Ventura testified to this aspect. Here's an important one: gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation used to make you doubt your reality. Toxic individuals will twist the truth, deny facts, and even blame you for their behavior, leaving you feeling confused, anxious, and even questioning your sanity. They may invalidate your feelings, distort your memories, or outright lie to make you doubt yourself and your perceptions. I didn't say that. I didn't do that. Over time, this can lead to a pervasive sense of self-doubt and diminished sense of worth as you begin to question your thoughts, your feelings, and your experiences. Something else that toxic people do is they violate boundaries, boundary violations. Healthy boundaries are essential for maintaining a sense of autonomy and self-respect in any relationship. However, toxic individuals have little regard for boundaries and may routinely violate them without hesitation, whether it's invading your personal space, disregarding your privacy, or crossing emotional boundaries. Their actions can leave you violated, vulnerable, and disrespected. This constant disrespect and disregard for your boundaries can erode your sense of self-esteem, leaving you powerless to protect yourself from further harm. How can a toxic person impact your mental and physical health? There's several ways that dealing with toxic people impact your physical and mental health. It can lead to decreased self-esteem, constant exposure to criticism, manipulation, and a lack of empathy from toxic individuals can gradually erode your self-esteem. Their relentless negativity may lead you to internalize their harmful messages, causing you to view yourself through a distorted lens of unworthiness or inadequacy. Over time, this can diminish your confidence and sense of self-worth, making it challenging to assert yourself or pursue your goals with conviction. It can cause increased stress and anxiety. The mere presence of toxic individuals can create a perpetual state of tension and anxiety in your life. And this is something that you can notice on a somatic level where your chest is tight, you have stomach discomfort, you feel uneasy in their presence. So it's very important to listen to your body because your body can give you clues to toxicity in a person. You just don't feel good in their presence. You don't want to be in their presence. You feel uneasy and feel sick. So that's a sign of being around a toxic person. So whether you're navigating their unpredictable behavior or tiptoeing around to avoid conflict, the constant stress can exert a heavy toll on your mental health. This ongoing sense of unease can disrupt your peace of mind, leaving you feeling on edge and emotionally drained. Emotional exhaustion. Being around a toxic person can cause emotional exhaustion. Toxic relationships are often fraught with drama, conflict, and manipulation, leaving you emotionally exhausted and depleted. The emotional vampires that I talked about. The relentless demands and negativity of toxic individuals can wear you down over time, leaving you feeling drained and overwhelmed. So, understanding and recognizing toxicity in people is crucial to protecting your well-being and setting healthy boundaries. The emotional toll of constantly managing their needs and navigating their toxic behavior can leave you feeling depleted and in need of respite. Again, the emotional vampire. Feelings of isolation. Being around a toxic person can cause feelings of isolation. Toxic individuals may isolate you from your support network, leaving you feeling alone and disconnected from others, whether through manipulation or over control. They may undermine your relationships with friends, family, other sources of support, leaving you feeling isolated and vulnerable. This sense of loneliness can deepen feelings of depression and exacerbate your emotional distress. Being around a toxic person can cause guilt and self-doubt. Manipulative tactics such as gaslighting can instill feelings of guilt and self-doubt in their victims. By distorting the truth and undermining your perceptions and experiences, toxic individuals can leave you questioning your judgment and reality. Recognizing the signs of toxicity in people is crucial to protecting your mental well-being. This erosion of confidence can lead to feelings of guilt, self-blame, and a distorted sense of responsibility for the toxic person's behavior, further undermining your well-being. Impact on relationships. Toxic relationships can have a ripple effect, extending beyond the confines of that relationship itself and impacting other areas of your life, including your relationships with friends, families, and coworkers. You may find yourself withdrawing from social interactions or experiencing difficulties in forming and maintaining healthy connections due to the emotional toil of the toxic relationship. Being around toxic people can affect your physical health as well. The chronic stress and anxiety resulting from toxic relationships can manifest in a variety of physical symptoms, including headaches, muscle tension, sleep and appetite disturbance, and elevated blood pressure. Prolonged exposure to stress can also weaken your immune system, leaving you more susceptible to illness and increasing your risk of developing long-term health problems. I've seen that in family members of some of the patients that I deal with who end up developing their own severe long-term illnesses, and they've had to back away. This is in some patients who their family constantly have to intervene and help them, and they've ended up developing their own health problems. To review again, the signs of a toxic person are constant criticism, manipulative behavior, lack of empathy, drama and conflict, control freak, gaslighting, and boundary violations. So that's very important to look for those signs. And also, as I said, pay attention to what's going on in your body when you're around certain people. If you're feeling uneasy and your chest is tight and your stomach hurts and you don't want to be in their presence, then that's a sign that you are around a toxic person. Now, I'm going to provide some coping strategies for dealing with a toxic person. As I said, you can't change them, so you have to change how you deal with them. The number one most important thing in dealing with a toxic person for you is to set boundaries. It's important to establish clear boundaries. That's crucial for protecting your mental and emotional well-being, because you give them an inch, they will take a mile. Take the time to identify what behaviors are unacceptable to you and communicate these boundaries assertively to the toxic individual. Remember, it's perfectly okay to say no. No is a full sentence. It's okay to say no and prioritize your needs and boundaries. Setting boundaries can help create a healthier dynamic in the relationship and prevent further harm to your mental health. So, setting boundaries. The next one, limiting contact. Distance yourself from toxic individuals whenever possible to minimize their negative impact on your life. Surround yourself with supportive and nurturing relationships that uplift and inspire you. Spend time with people who respect your boundaries and make you feel valued and appreciated. Creating distance from toxic individuals can provide you with the space you need to prioritize your well-being and to cultivate positive relationships. Here's something that's very important. Practice self-care. Again, practice self-care. Investing in self-care is essential for replenishing your emotional reserves and maintaining your mental health. Engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation, whether it's practicing meditation, engaging in regular exercise, listening to music, spending time in nature. For me, massages, manicures, and pedicures. Prioritize self-care as a way to nurture and nourish yourself, both physically and emotionally. By taking care of yourself, you will be better equipped to cope with the challenges of dealing with toxic individuals and maintaining your overall well-being. Here's another one. Seek support. Seek support. Don't hesitate to reach out to trusted friends, family members, or a therapist for guidance and support. Talking to someone who understands your situation can provide validation and perspective, helping you feel less alone in your struggles. Surround yourself with a support network of individuals who genuinely care about you, your well-being, and can offer you the encouragement and guidance you need to navigate through difficult times. For me, my source of support is my family, my sorority sisters. They're very supportive. I love being around them. Seeking support is a sign of strength, not weakness, and can empower you to make positive changes in your life. Educate yourself. Take the time to educate yourself about the red flags of toxic behavior and trust your instincts and your body when something doesn't feel right. Arm yourself with the knowledge to recognize the signs of a toxic person and protect yourself from future harm. Learning to identify toxic behaviors can help you set boundaries more effectively and make informed decisions about the relationships in your life. By empowering yourself with knowledge, you'll be better equipped to safeguard your mental health and cultivate healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. Something that's also important is learning to manage your reactions around a toxic person. As I said, ultimately, you can't change them, but you can change how you respond to the behavior. Many times, a toxic person is trying to provoke you into a negative reactions. Don't fall into that trap. Don't give them the pleasure of provoking you and falling into that trap. It may help to practice how you'll handle a certain situation ahead of time. Don't blame yourself for their behavior or allow them to manipulate you. Stay calm and detached. Maintain your composure and avoid getting emotionally involved in their toxic behavior. Responding calmly can prevent escalation and help you stay in control. Focus on solutions. Steer conversations toward positive and constructive topics instead of getting caught up in drama or toxicity. Encourage problem solving rather than dwelling on issues. Very important. Know when to walk away. Remember, there's a movie called Get Out. Sometimes you just have to get out. So sometimes the best option is to distance yourself completely from the toxic person, especially if they're unwilling to change their behavior and continue to harm. So there's one technique that that people use called gray rocking. It's like you become essentially like a gray rock to the person. It's a strategy used to deal with difficult or toxic people by you becoming boring and emotionally unresponsive to discourage their attempts to provoke or manipulate you. So some of the parts of this method is using vague and short responses, responding with as few words as possible, such as yes, no, or I don't know, or use sounds like or or even body language like a nod or shrug. Show no emotions. Made the mistake of crying in front of someone who really used that and said, I really need to be in therapy because I was responding to a normal emotion where you would cry to, and that person thought it was dysfunctional and recommended I be in therapy because I was responding to something in a normal manner where they had no empathy, no emotion, and they had no response. So show no emotions. That includes avoiding eye contact. Respond with neutral and emotionless statements as nonchalantly as you can. Remain calm. Avoid showing any emotions, positive or negative. Refrain from sharing. Limit or refrain sharing personal details, thoughts or feelings, positive or negative. Share only mundane, non-personal information if needed. Keep interactions boring. Focus on safe, neutral topics that are unlikely to elicit an emotional response. Keep conversations superficial and avoid discussing personal matters. Shift topics if needed. If or when a conversation is headed in a negative direction, redirect it to a more boring or non-controversial topic. Compliment them, ask questions about them, or ask for suggestions on a non-personal matter. This is very important. Refrain from arguing because that's what they want to draw you into. Try not to disagree or state any opinions. Go along with what they say or simply nod. The last technique in the gray rock method is disengage when necessary. Do not argue, disagree, or debate. Disengage and walk away if possible. Make excuses if you need to. This is called, again, gray rocking. It's the gray rock method. So you can look and learn more about that if you like. The only caveat is that gray rocking is not something that you use over a long-term period, because it may precipitate violent or aggressive behavior in the other person. You don't want to be, abused. So it's only something to use on a short-term basis. Like in those cars, I have like flat run tires that they're flat, but you can go so many miles on them. So it's like using the flat run tires. You can only use it for the short term, but it can be very effective in the short term, the gray rock method. Now, how do you deal with toxic coworkers? I'm sure that comes up. It could be a coworker or a boss. It's a tough situation. It can be hard to do your job well. You may feel trapped, especially if the toxic person is your boss. If you're experiencing disrespect, bullying, or just general negativity at work, consider the following. Try to ignore the behavior or avoid dealing with them. Manage your own emotions to avoid escalating a conflict. Very important. Manage your own emotions. Keep your boundaries firm. Don't get drawn into gossip or negativity. Expand your network and strengthen your relationships with the supportive coworkers. If you have a toxic manager, make connections with other managers and company leaders. And you may have to take it to management or human resources. Now, this is something, did you recognize yourself in any of these behaviors and personality traits that I discussed? Do your romantic relationships always end badly? Is your work staff in constant turnover? Guess what? You may be the one with the toxic behavior. Change starts by becoming more self-aware. Some self-reflection may help you understand why you bring toxicity to your relationships. Maybe a difficult childhood left you feeling afraid of abandonment, unworthy of love, so you tried to push away before they can hurt you. Insecurity may make you clingy or suspicious. You may have learned healthy, effective ways to communicate your needs. Very important. Working with a therapist can help you get to the bottom of your behavior and learn better coping strategies. An important step is to apologize to the people that you have behaved badly with. Take responsibility for your actions and let them know you're making an effort to change. Some positive relationship traits that you can practice are learning to respect boundaries, becoming a good listener, not holding grudges, showing kindness and consideration, being supportive, managing conflict respectfully. So a toxic person can change. I mean, I wouldn't always hope on it, but it's possible if the person has a willingness to change, they have some self-awareness, they have a commitment to personal growth and accountability. So all those would have to be present in order for a toxic person to change. So if you're the toxic person, you can stop being a toxic person using some of these strategies that I outline and get into therapy. So some takeaways from this whole presentation on how to deal with a toxic person. A toxic person is someone who brings conflict and negativity to your life. They're often controlling, manipulative, and even abusive. Protect yourself by setting and maintaining boundaries and focusing your energy on relationships that are supportive. You may need to limit your interactions with a toxic person or cut them out of your life entirely. I hope this has been very helpful for you. So I see that someone's asking, where can we find these lists? I guess I will have to print them out and have the producer to post those, because these are things that I came across in reading. So I guess I can print those, write those out and print them out and have her to post those. So I thank you for your participation on this show and the whole season. We enjoy having you as our audience. I hope the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the month, and the coming year will be very fruitful and fulfilling for you. I don't know if there were any questions from any of the listening audience. If so, I can, answer if there are any questions. And again, I will provide a list of these signs of toxicity in persons. So again, thank you for listening. And you've been listening to WCEG, the Worldwide Empowerment Group. And also, if any of you have thoughts of wanting to die or hurt yourself, the National Crisis Hotline is 911. Excuse me, it's changed. It's no longer 911. It is, although the current administration is doing their best efforts to try to dismantle the crisis hotline. So the crisis hotline and suicide line is now 988. The domestic violence hotline is 800-799-7233, but the suicide crisis hotline is 988 if you or anyone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts. Thank you again for listening and tuning in.